Hello and welcome back to the Mojave, everybody. Welcome back to New Vegas, where today we're going to be taking a look at a Wasteland staple. This is the laser rifle, and the laser rifle has showed up in every single Fallout game so far, I believe. I haven't played 76 or Brotherhood, but I'm pretty sure the laser rifle is in both those two. It's just a staple of the Wasteland, and something that you always find. And in New Vegas, it's really no exception. It's probably going to be one of the early game laser weapons or energy weapons that you do find, because you can get these in Nipton. So there is a couple of them laying around. They're usually in pretty rough condition, but you can fix them up, and if you have weapon repair kits, then you can have an early game weapon that's pretty strong. This is probably going to be like your first full-size energy weapon, unless you find a plasma rifle first, in which case that one might be, or I guess a recharger rifle, because Chad can sell those and you can find them on Dead Blight members early on. But aside from that, laser rifle is probably going to be one of the first ones that you get. The laser rifle requires 25 energy weapons and 3 strength to wield, so it is very low strength and pretty low energy requirements too. Most builds are going to be able to use the laser rifle without too much issue, and if you're going with a dedicated energy weapon build, you're definitely going to be able to use it. This does 22 damage per shot, which is pretty decent. That's not super high, but it's not super low either. This has 68 damage per second, which is okay. Maybe not the highest, but it does have fast follow-up shots, so that's pretty good. 22 crit damage, which is fine. It's the same as its regular damage. This has a 1.5 times crit modifier, so it is more likely to hit crits than normal. This has extremely low spread at 0.025, so it is one of the more accurate weapons in the game. It's about as accurate as something like a hunting rifle is too, so that's really nice. This only costs 18 action points to use in VATS. The laser rifles are really good in VATS, so if you're going with a VATS build, then this might be an energy weapon for you. This weighs 8 weight, so it's not too heavy. Sort of heavier than other energy weapons, but not as heavy as like a recharger rifle or something. Has 125 item health, so not very high. That is something that's kind of common with energy weapons, but luckily laser rifles are very common, and you can buy quite a few of them because you can buy them from like the Silver Rush, and you can buy them from the Brotherhood super regularly. Some other vendors sometimes sell them too, so they're not impossible to find, and this one holds 24 rounds in it. For the pros of the laser rifle, this one has pretty good damage per second. This one is very accurate. It has really good ammo. The microfusion cells are really nice to use, and they are pretty flexible, and this has very low action points. So the laser rifle actually has a lot going for it. The only major con to the laser rifle is that it kind of has low item health, and that's just sort of an energy weapon problem in general, where its item health just makes it so it can break fast. But if you have, let's say, jury rigging, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Or if you can just keep buying laser rifles, not a huge deal, and they're fairly common and fairly cheap. You can also just make weapon repair kits and fix it up that way. So there are ways to circumvent this problem. It's not a massive deal for energy weapon users. There is also quite a few different ammos that you can load into this as well. You have the standard microfusion cells, which give you regular damage for the weapon, but microfusion cells always give you -2 damage threshold, so the laser rifle always has armor piercing, at least to some extent on it, which is pretty nice. You can use the bulk microfusion cells. You can buy these usually in the miscellaneous section in vendors, and you usually get quite a few of them. But these ones do 15% less damage than regular microfusion cells, but they do 15% less damage to your weapon as well, so it doesn't break as fast. It also no longer comes with the damage threshold brick, so it doesn't have armor piercing anymore either. You could go with the overcharge cells, which get you more damage on hit, but they also break your weapon quite a bit faster, so they can be worth it, but maybe not always. You can get the max cells, which give you a huge boost in damage and even more armor breaking at -10 damage threshold, so that's pretty nice. Oh, the overcharge cells are -5 too. But the max cells -10 is really good, but they do break your weapon 2.5 times faster, and since your weapon can already break pretty quick, you can break your weapon down really fast if you're firing through the max cells with it, but it does do a lot of damage per second. And then you have the optimized cells, which you can make if you got the Vigilant Recycler perk, and these ones are basically on par with the overcharge cells, just they don't break your weapon as fast, so they're a lot better in that regard. And usually the ammo type that I try to load into my energy weapons, just because it feels the nicest overall. There is also quite a few perks that help out with the laser rifle in general. Laser Commander is fantastic. It gives you even higher crit chance, so that's really good. The laser rifle already really likes crits, so hitting more crits is pretty good. Meltdown is also really good because it just gives you more AoE damage. You can hit multiple enemies with this, so it can be really good for cleaning up small and medium-sized enemies. Not so much against really tough enemies. It won't rip through them pretty quick or anything, but it does help. And then really any sort of VATS-related perk can also help with the laser rifle. So if you want to go with like Commando, Action Boy, or Action Girl, you could go with Math Wrath as well. Any of those help the laser rifle out quite a bit because you can just already spam this in VATS, and if you get to spam it even more, that's pretty good. So this is one of the better VATS weapons. Considering all that for the laser rifle, for a tier list ranking, I think I'd put the laser rifle up into high B tier. The regular laser rifle is pretty consistent and will be a very good early to mid-game weapon for an energy weapon build. You might switch it out later, or you might not, because it does actually have a modded version and a unique version we got to talk about too. So let's talk about the modded version and all the things that you can put on this. For the different mods for the laser rifle, you can actually get 3 of these, and these go on any sort of laser rifle. You don't need like a Gunner's Arsenal version. There actually isn't one besides the tri-beam laser, which we're not going to be talking about in this video because it's different enough and it kind of acts more like a shotgun than the regular laser rifle. Regular laser rifle has 3 options, and it has a focused optic. This gives you 3 more damage, which is pretty good considering that would raise your base damage from 22 to 25. That's not bad. You also have a scope on this, which the scope gives you a 3.5 times scope. It's actually a pretty long range scope, so that's kind of nice if you want to be sniping with the laser rifle. And since the laser rifle is super accurate, it's actually a pretty decent energy weapon sniper. Maybe it's not going to be as good as like the Gauss rifle, but the Gauss rifle has really high single target damage, so that kind of makes it a better sniper rifle for general sniper purposes. But this can work really well as like a marksman rifle. I know it's kind of weird to say for like an energy weapon, but that's kind of how I see it. And then the third mod that you can put on this is a beam splitter. And the beam splitter in the regular game is kind of bugged. The way that it's supposed to work is that you now fire out 2 beams. However, these beams are basically stacked right on top of one another. So it's not like you see 2 beams go out and go into weird directions or anything. And this is supposed to give you 30% more damage because that other beam hits a little bit harder. That's how it's supposed to work, and that's how it was working with the mod that I have, but this is an unofficial patch mod that I have that actually fixes a lot of the problems in New Vegas, and it makes the weapon actually weaker than it otherwise be. In the regular game, in the vanilla game of New Vegas, if you put this on, it actually just doubles the beams, and it just gives you double damage. So doubling your damage with the laser rifle is very strong, as you would kind of imagine, especially since you get more increased damage. So suddenly your base damage went from 22 all the way up to 50 damage per shot. That's pretty good, as well as your damage per second jumped up pretty substantially from that. You're still hitting crits pretty often, you're still really good in VATS, you're still very accurate, you still have a large magazine, and that extra shot that you're firing per shot isn't breaking your weapon any faster, so it actually increased your item health too. And with the modded version of the laser rifle, at least in vanilla New Vegas, I would probably put this up into S tier. It's surprisingly good, because then it's probably like your designated, again, marksman rifle, similar to like All-American or the marksman rifle for guns. The laser rifle fills a very, very similar niche for an energy weapon build, and it's really good. It's really nice at that. So long as you can get the beam splitter and the focused optic, it's really good. Scope is completely optional. If you like the scope, then throw it on. If you don't like the scope, then don't worry about it. It's not a huge deal. There is also one, or I guess kind of 2 unique versions of the laser rifle in New Vegas. We'll go over one of them really quick because it's just the Van Graff's laser rifle, which is just a slightly weaker laser rifle than a regular laser rifle, and it's just for part of a quest. You get it during that one if you want to pick that or the plasma rifle. They're just kind of weaker versions of the laser or plasma rifle. They don't actually come up that much, and they're not really good for anything. They technically count as a quest item, so you could cheat them into like dead money. But would a laser rifle or a plasma rifle really give you that much advantage in dead money since you already have the hollow rifle? I don't think that would really help you all that much, so I would just say ignore it, and we're just not going to acknowledge it for this tier list or anything like that. We will talk about the other one, which is the AER-14 prototype laser rifle. This one you can find in Vault 22. This is the vault that has all the spore people in it and stuff. It is found at the very bottom of the vault. Well, sort of. It's found on the 4th level of the vault, but you do have to go to the 5th level and then take the stairs back up, kill some mantises, and then it's going to be found on a skeleton, which you can pick up. This one is quite a bit different than a regular laser rifle. Well, this one fires green beams rather than the red beams that a regular laser rifle does. This one also consumes double the amount of ammo per shot, so it still holds 24 rounds in the gun, but you only get 12 shots out of this, and that does make it so you're eating through ammo a little bit quicker. This one also requires 25 energy weapons to wield and 3 strength, just like a standard laser rifle. And this one does 35 damage per shot. This one does 105 damage per second, so it is more damage and more damage per second than a regular laser rifle, as you kind of assume, but it would still be less than like the modded laser rifle, since that one's still kind of bugged with the double beams. This one does 35 crit damage, has a 2 times crit modifier, so it's more likely to hit crits, has even less spread than the regular laser rifle at 0.0225, Why it has such a long I don't know. It doesn't really matter. They're both extremely accurate, so whichever. This one costs 20 action points to use, so a little bit more than a regular laser rifle, but it's still really good in a VATS build. This one also holds 24 rounds in it, but like I said, those are actually just 12 rounds because it takes up 2 ammo per shot. This one weighs 8.5 weight, so it's slightly heavier than a regular laser rifle. And this one has 100 item health, so it has less item health than a regular laser rifle, but you are firing out twice the amount of ammo through it, so that kind of makes sense. You're technically getting more value out of it, unless you're counting the modded version of the laser rifle, in which case you're not getting as much value out of it. This one's also pretty decent, and I would say this one is an upgrade over the regular laser rifle, but not an upgrade over the modded laser rifle. And I'd put this one up into the A tier. Pretty good weapon, and can be really useful, especially if you want to run and get it early, because it might be difficult finding some of the modded versions of the laser rifle, or at least the mods that you can find on there, because not a whole lot of people sell them. Sometimes Crimson Caravan can sell them, the Silver Rush can sell them, and the Brotherhood can sell them, and that's usually about the main ones that you're going to find selling these type of upgrades for the laser rifle. But once you do get the beam splitter on there, then the regular laser rifle kind of outperforms the other ones, so that's why it would be a little bit higher. So in conclusion, would I recommend the laser rifle? Yeah, absolutely. If you're going with an energy weapon build, really good. If you're not going with an energy weapon build, it can still be decent enough. It's going to do decent enough damage, and if you have a lot of microfusion cells, you might want to use it. I don't know if I'd recommend this over a plasma rifle, especially like the unique one, at least for a non-energy weapon build, or even for an energy weapon build, because the unique plasma rifle is really good too. We'll talk about that someday when we get to it. Tell me your thoughts on the laser rifle down in the comments below. Also, tell me what other weapons you would like to see in these videos. Thank you guys so very much for watching this as well. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.